You know, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in media, sports, and entertainment. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese. Joe, very excited for our guest today, someone who you had the honor of hanging out with on one of your many trips to Tampa Bay. Certainly a future star. He's on the rise here. We got to give him a cease and desist, though, on his Dylan Cease tweets, which are getting out of hand. But why don't you let everybody know who we have on here with us today?
First of all, he's already a star. So I'm going to clarify that. And I decided to wear my Steph Curry jersey today because this is the podcast of champions. And we have a champion on with us today. So he's our gambling guinea. And he should be your gambling guinea. So currently writes for NBC Sports Edge. He's a good friend of ours. He's a good friend of mine. You're right. I had the opportunity to hang out with him in person. We're going to have the opportunity to hang out more this summer as it goes on. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Johnny V to the program. Johnny Venezia. How are you, bud? How you doing? Thanks for doing this with us.
What's up, boys? Appreciate it, man. It's good to see you guys. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, man. Like, I was telling Nick, because Tuesdays is our podcast. Like, you've been on the podcast a million times, right? We were filling in as some of the co-hosts sometimes. I was like, dude, there's like, it's been so busy with work, dude. Like, every Tuesday, it's just, I want to do it, but time I get home from work or I have other stuff that I got to do. And it's just, hopefully, it's just a quick pause. I still have the StreamYard account, so I didn't deactivate payment on the StreamYard account. So hopefully, during football season, we get some more going, man. I'm happy to be talking to you guys. I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Absolutely.
So Johnny is referring to his show, Johnny VTV, which you used to be able to find on his Twitter and YouTube. So on hiatus, but who knows, might be back soon. But currently, he's down the shore. We'll talk about that a little later on, but you are born and raised in New Jersey, Johnny. So growing up, tell me, what were some of the teams you rooted for?
I gotta say, man, I was always a Mets guy. Like, I liked certain players in the Yankees. Like, I loved Jeter, loved Mariano, loved Pettit being a lefty. Roger Clemens was awesome, but I was always a Mets fan. And growing up, obviously, I grew up 15, 20 minutes from the Izod Center. So my dad would always take me to Nets games like Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson, Vince Carter. So I grew up doing that. And then obviously the Devils. So, that was always a lot of fun. And then of course the Atlanta Falcons was my team since I was a little kid. So it was, that was always growing up with that.
You became a big Falcons fan because you used to play Madden with Michael Vick.
I actually started before Madden. So okay. I saw Michael Vick play at Virginia Tech when I was a kid, and I was like, dude, who is this guy? He's just dicing everybody up. He's running coast to coast, untouched. And I was just like, yes, I kept following him. And then I played ESPN 2K, 2K3, 2K4, and I was playing with the Bucks because one of my friends liked the Bucks. And then I picked up the game and I was on franchise mode and we were playing the Falcons. Dude, who is this quarterback? And then I put it together. It was the same guy from Virginia Tech. And then I was just like, boom, from then on, all about the Falcons. This was like 02, 03.
So Joe, would you say that Johnny was very fortunate that he lived in New Jersey and he didn't become a Jets fan?
Probably. Yeah, I would say so. I think they've had kind of an equal amount of success. I mean, Falcons made the one Super Bowl appearance, but for the most part, the Giants and the Jets here haven't been good the last couple of years, while the Falcons were good, no Super Bowl, and the Buccaneers have been good recently too. So ironically enough, we know a Bucs fan. So must be an NFC South thing. Who knows? A lot of displaced New Yorkers feel like they weren't connected to their teams. You're a Nets fan, huh? How do you like the Nets? How do you like the Nets now?
Nah. Bro, I'm not an NBA guy anymore. I love basketball. I think basketball's a great sport, but man, just the whole thing of the NBA the last 10, 15 years, it's such a turnoff. Don't get me wrong, bro. Growing up, man, Jordan on the Wizards. I caught a little bit of Jordan on the Bulls when I was a kid, Shaq, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Iverson. Those guys were awesome to watch. The 04 Pistons, the 04 Suns, those teams were a ton of fun to watch, but man, I don't care anymore. It's just I'll catch a game here and there. Saw the NBA finals. It was I don't know how people actually could support what they're seeing. Like, it's just not good. Every game was 10 points or more. Like, and I truly believe this, and I mean this when I say it, and people are going to think I'm crazy, but like, these are all the same people that probably never watched it. The college baseball postseason was 20 times better than pretty much every series in the NBA in the playoffs. It was so much better, bro. I'm not even kidding. Like, if you watched, for example, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, it was better than probably any playoff series in the NBA this season.
The only good part about the NBA season is the off season. The rest of it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all.
It's too much player movement. It's very hard to get into any type of team now today because every team is different after 3 or 4 years. And I mean, like I flashed off the jersey at the beginning, but this was a knockoff purchase way back when Steph was first on the Warriors, and who knew he was going to win 4 titles later. But to wrap it up, it's like, I agree with you guys. The NBA stuff is just bleh. And when you're betting on it, it's different. Obviously when you have some skin in the game and a little action, but there really hasn't been an enjoyable team to watch outside of this team in the last like 10 years or so. It's like LeBron switched teams a bunch of times, turned off people to him. Kevin Durant switched teams a bunch of times. Now people are being turned off to him. Nobody wants to deal with Kyrie Irving anymore. Like the most likable champ, I think, was the Bucks last year, right? And then after that, you're hard pressed to find a team outside Golden State. But
I gotta ask Johnny. I mean, I know he's not a Knicks fan, but if our guy, the big Mets fan, Donovan Mitchell, ends up in New York, I think might raise Johnny's eyebrow a little, but not enough.
I like that.
Nah, man. I mean, listen, like I'll enjoy watching certain players. I just don't love how, like, for a perfect example, I love John Morant because I saw these comps this season. Like, John Morant on the Grizzlies right now is drawing shades to Iverson when Iverson led the Sixers to the finals against the Lakers 21 years ago. Yeah. Like, it's very similar to that. Like, John Morant could be this generation's Allen Iverson, and like he's a ton of fun to watch. So there's guys that I enjoy watching, but like, overall as a whole, I can't follow it, man. It's like you get guys that randomly sit games, and you get it's just all these trades, like, bro, like all these superstars are leaving. Like, it's just not fun. Like, it changes the whole dynamic. Like, LeBron had the easiest run in the East for years, because nobody was in the Eastern Conference, and then switches to the West. Now there's all these good West teams. Now, like, Lakers, they win a popcorn championship in the bubble on like a COVID season. And then, like, maybe he's talking about leaving. Like, he wanted Westbrook in. Now Westbrook wants out, and like, it's just too much, dude. Like, I can't. I was never that big into the NBA like that, other than like a casual fan. It's gotten worse for me. Like, I think it's terrible. Like, I hate the NBA.
It's definitely enough NBA talk for sure. So, Johnny, growing up, what sports did you play?
Baseball, football. That was my I mean, dude, I grew up playing basketball too. Like, I love playing basketball. I think it's a great game. Those are my 3: baseball, football, basketball.
All right. So I'm going to guess baseball wise, probably played some first base, caught a little time on the mound there, dabbling with some pitching. Joe, what do you think for Johnny with football? O-line or D-line or somewhere else?
That's a good question. I don't know if he's like big enough for like D-line or anything like that, but when you're in high school and they're just looking for big guys to throw on the line, that's what they do. He's built, I think, more like a big linebacker, kind of like a hybrid like that. And I could see him being a good thrower of the football. So maybe you didn't play quarterback, but probably got a good arm over there too, right?
I at least in my prime, I mean, I still got something here on the old arm, but bro, back in the day, bro, I could sling it for sure. But so I stopped playing football after like Pop Warner. And the big reason was like, all right, like, I want to focus on baseball. And like, I loved football, but honestly, bro, I hated practice. I hated it. Like, because, bro, like running, in the middle of the summer, and like, I was always one of the bigger kids. So like, they would always stick me on the line, because it wasn't like, all right, this kid's like Aaron Donald. Like, I was solid. Like, I was a rotational player. I was solid, but like, I wasn't like Aaron Donald. And like, everybody wanted to be quarterback, running back, receiver. And I wasn't any of those. I was always one of the heavier kids. I was always struggling to make weight every week. And I was like, like I gotta watch what I eat during the season because I might not be able to suit up. And I'm like, oh, it's just not for me, man. And then by the time like everybody was going into high school to play football, I was like, dude, I'm not, nah, man, for what? Like, I'm not gonna be a professional football player. Like, I wasn't even anything close. Like physically, I wasn't anywhere close to the kids in high school that were my age. I was a lot behind them. I didn't really fill out my frame until I was 21. So like at that point, it was just way too late. So I just pretty much stuck to baseball.
Speaking of eating, you are Italian, so tell us your ideal Sunday dinner. Now let's see if Joe agrees with you.
All right. Well, it depends. What's the season here? Like, are we doing winter?
Give me one for each season.
Okay, so nice. Let's do a nice summer dish, right?
All right.
Let's talk about a little capellini with shrimp arrabbiata, little butter white wine sauce. A little lighter in the summer.
Sounds
in the winter, maybe a little rigatoni with the Sunday gravy. Chop up a little braciole, some meatballs, a little bit of pork sausage. Put it all together for a Sunday gravy dinner. A little garlic bread, maybe a little ensalada, a little Caesar salad, maybe some chicken cutlets to get a little appetizer going. I think that's really where my head's at when it comes to a nice Sunday dinner.
I can't go wrong. That sounds fantastic. What do you think, Joe?
I agree. I think you do more of the seafood dishes in the summer. And obviously, you and I were in total agreement here. Definitively the best eating holiday of the whole year is Christmas Eve. You get 7 fishes out there. Johnny,
Do you do that, though? Do you do the 7 fishes? Because we did it a couple times, but bro, it's so much
It is
work.
a lot.
Like,
it's a lot.
We do
of
a ton of seafood, bro. Like we'll get the galamab, we'll get the seafood salad, we'll get, all of the good seafood stuffs, at least for appetizers, we'll get some 1 or 2 fishes, but like people are doing 7 fish. I'm like, bro, who are you cooking for? Cooking for a small army. Like, bro, we'll have like maybe 15 people at our house. Like, we're not going to have leftovers for 2 weeks. Like, you can't have fish for that long for leftovers. So like, It's a lot of work, man. You got to be cooking for like a small army.
It is. It's a lot of work for a lot of seafood. And you're right. Can't really have the seafood too long or outside of the next day because then it'll go bad sooner. So that presents a problem too. But yeah, Nick, I don't disagree with any of those Johnny food choices for Sundays.
Yeah, smart guy for sure. And he's used that smarts with gambling as well. So, Johnny, when did you first become exposed to sports gambling? When did you kind of learn what exactly this was? And when did you place your first bet?
Exposed to sports gambling?
Yeah.
What year is it? It's 2022. I would say I was probably first exposed somewhere in like 2004, 2005.
Yeah, when you were like 10 years old.
Yeah, I was a kid for sure. I mean, bro, like, how it is, like growing up, and then like I started getting into fantasy in 2005. So, we're pushing almost 20 years doing that. And then one thing kind of followed the other. Like my love for the sports was first, and then fantasy followed, and then like betting followed. So like I kind of grew up with betting, but obviously it was super like illegal and frowned upon and immoral. But now it's cool. Now it's totally fine, right?
Yeah.
So it was nice to be able to kind of like parlay all that, because growing up, like gambling wasn't legal. It's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a broadcaster. I wanted to like broadcast games, and like I would still love to do that in the future, like be kind of like a Joe Buck or a Mike Tirico or somebody like that. But the betting thing kind of took on an entire life of its own, and it opened the floodgates, right? So I don't think it's ever going to slow down now. And I think this is something that is just going to continue to go on because it just brings in so much money. And, even a casual person could get so invested in something because they have the opportunity to win money. So I think I think it's great for the game. I think it's great for all sports. And it's just kind of created such a buzz that there never was before about sports. And as for when I placed my first bet, I probably don't want to say that.
So can you tell us what your first bet was? You haven't tell us, or what kind of sport it was.
It was probably football.
Okay.
It was probably football.
Back in high school, I would guess.
Might have been younger.
Now, Johnny, you're one of those guys that gets, you don't watch college basketball, but you're probably filling out 30, 40 brackets in March Madness, right? Is that something you enjoy doing every year?
You know what? It's funny because I used to do that. I used to put out like 20 brackets, like just for fun, like wouldn't always submit them. But now I'll probably do, if I'm in like a tournament, right? I'll probably do like 2, maybe 3. Listen, man, like one thing goes wrong in one bracket, you're shot. So you got to have a couple backups, right? You got to have a couple options, like got to have a couple different teams that are going to come out on top, maybe a few different Final Fours or a couple different Elite Eights. But definitely nowadays, like it's more like 2, possibly 3. And like if it's something I'm just trying to get a little sprinkle, casual involvement in, we'll just do 1.
There you go. Yeah, I think college sports pretty difficult to forecast or gamble on, unless you're betting on college football, because that's a piece of cake because the favorites usually always win. But speaking of college, you went to a great university, St. John's University, with Cubs slugger Frank the Tank Schwindel. So first, tell us a little bit about your friendship with Frank, how you guys met, but then tell us about your time at St. John's as a member of the Red Storm.
So you know how it is in high school. Like you're always worried about what college you're going to get into. Like my grades were solid, and like I had really good like resume boosters, extracurriculars, and stuff like that. But I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't going to school to play sports. I mean, like my grades weren't top notch, but they were good. Like I was a 3.5, 3.6 student. Horrible tester. I hated SATs. I hated ACTs. I was terrible.
The biggest waste, the SATs.
Biggest waste. So I ended up going into St. John's. So like it's a really good school. It's Big East. It's in the city. And at this time I'm 18, so I'm like really looking to get into sports. I know this is what I want to do. Like I know I want to have a career in sports. And like, listen, I'll be in the city. St. John's basketball has always been famous. Big East. Like I know a lot of kids going there. It's a good connection to Seton Hall Prep, which is where I went to high school. So I was like, yeah, listen, like this is going to be a great fit. I'll be close enough to home, but not too close. And it's nice because a lot of the kids that I went to high school with ended up going to St. John's, and a few of them were athletes. So I was able to just really, I was able to connect with the baseball team more specifically because a few of my friends in high school played on the team. And so I really got close to a lot of guys in the baseball team. And one of them was Frank. And we were, at first pretty casual. And like, I would say like, we're solid friends. Definitely. Like I'll throw him a text every now and then and be like, hey bro, like, hope you're doing well. You're really crushing the ball.
Did
whatever.
you text him after his pitching debut a few months ago?
No, I didn't. No, I actually haven't talked to him in a while. I didn't text him after that. I just hit him up before the season, like wishing him good luck and everything. Like, cause don't forget, like we had him on our podcast, like right before
TV.
Yeah, right before the World Series. I'm just kind of talking like, obviously you can't talk about betting because, they're professional athletes, but you kind of get an idea of like why he could lean if a team's going to win, a certain team's going to win that game or that series, like whether it be the pitching or the offensive approach, whatever the case is. But Frank's a good dude, man. Like he's really a good dude. And like, for a guy that is as great of an offensive weapon as he is, like it took him a while to get going. Like sometimes things is just, it's timing, especially in pros. Like you have a very short window. So like it didn't work out with the Royals. And then he went to the A's and the A's caught him and the Cubs just picked him up, man. He showed out. And like, it was great because he's in a position where he can play a lot, get a lot of at bats. And, he really made his mark on the Cubs. And like, I'm happy for him, man. It's just, he aside from the fact that he's a great ball player, like he's a great dude. Like, I can't think of too many guys that deserve it more than he does. And, I'm just happy he's doing really well. But we had a lot of fun at St. John's, man. Like there's a lot of people that still to this day I talk to from the school. And
Steve Lavin, when during your time was the only reason the basketball program got back on track.
Oh, that's my boy, man. Coach Lav is he's good people. He just took the job, I think, at San Diego, the Toreros. And he's, after what a 5-6 year hiatus from coaching, he's back in the game. Like Coach Lav's a good guy, man. He's good people. And I always love talking to him. It's hard though, man. He's busy. It's hard to catch up at times, but here and there, like, I've chatted with him over the years, not too much, but like here and there, like I said, but he's a good guy, man. I'm wishing the best for him with his program in San Diego.
Yeah, with St. John's ties, you and Joe has ties with Marist, but you guys have somebody in common who you both are big fans of. That's BT, Brandon Tierney. So tell us about how you know him, and former guest on our show, and Joe, of course, great friends with him.
So it's funny actually, right? So this is my first time down the shore since Memorial Day weekend. So that Friday, the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, I went to DJ's because it's the official opening for the season and like they have all the radio people there, which honestly I was surprised neither one of you went. But I knew
was
Craig.
in Florida. Otherwise, me and Joe would have been there.
Right.
I went to
Joe
Tampa.
wasn't.
Where you were. I don't know where you were. I was looking for you, but you were.
I was working.
Come on, you know where I was. You know where I was. But so I heard like Craig Carton was going to be there, and I was like, oh, Tiki and Tierney, and like I know Brandon Tierney a little bit from my time when I was at St. John's. So I think actually like my sophomore, my junior year. When you're like 20, 21, that's when the time like you're really starting to hunt for like jobs. Like, and I was fortunate because I knew what I wanted to do. I've known what I wanted to do since I was a kid. So luckily, like I felt like I had a leg up because even at 20, 21, a lot of kids still don't know what they want to do. So I picked my classes accordingly. And one of my professors is unbelievable, bro. Like, I love this guy. He was awesome. He was an Italian guy from Chicago, like really was a mentor to me and always helped me out. And he had a lot of connections in the space just because of like, he put in a lot of time there. And one of the guys that he introduced me to was Brandon Tierney. And it was great because he did a lot of stuff for like radio for St. John's games. And, I was always around the games and trying to do media stuff to like build up the resume. And I met him and we were really cool. And we had a couple chats and I actually hadn't spoken to him in years. And I saw you guys were on the show with him, but the radio show at DJ's, which is like the opening for the season, which is what they do. I ran into him. I was like, hey man, like, I don't know if you remember me. I'm John Venezia from St. John's. I was in Professor so-and-so's class. Oh yeah, like absolutely. So it turns out he moved and like, I look a lot different now than the last time he saw me. So like, I have relatives that don't even recognize me if they haven't seen me in like 5 years. So I saw him and I was telling him, he goes, oh yeah, bro, like, how are you? How's everything? And I was like, oh, it's good. It's good. He actually moved to the same town that I live in. He moved to North Caldwell. So like, I still have his number from like the college days, but I actually haven't hit him up yet. Like he was saying like, yeah, bro, like let's grab dinner or something and catch up. So like, it's funny. Cause like, we're basically neighbors now. But I saw you guys had the podcast with him.
He's awesome. I met him. We did a Marist Sports event back when I was in college. And that was when we were first building it up. So it's like we had a lot of major guests come on at the time, right? So like Brian Gumbel from HBO was one of them. BT, obviously, because he went to the school. Okayed it immediately. That's when I first met him. Reached out to him periodically here and there since. And then when he came on, he gave Nick and I like almost 2 hours at the time, which was unbelievable. And it's one of the best episodes we've ever done, but obviously it's pretty lengthy. So it's something that it's better to listen to, I think, chopped up. You just listen 20 minutes here, half hour here. But it's definitely one of the best episodes we've ever did. He's an awesome guy. That's great. We have that connection. I'm sure we're going to need it down the line. But yeah, so back to St. John's, it's like you're active. It's a really, really great communication school, and you and Nick benefited from it. So I guess this extends to him too, because I don't know if he's ever really answered on the podcast, but it's like, in terms of internships, right? You mentioned a professor who helped you along the way. What were you doing, and what was it like getting that first job after you graduated college? And then you could ultimately lead us into how you started doing stuff for In the Zone.
So honestly, it was kind of hard, man, because like the business that I was trying to do at the time, because like, don't forget, like this is like 2014, 2015. I had no thought about doing anything for betting because I was like, all right, it's not legal. Like betting doesn't become legal until 2018. So I'm like, all right, like how do I become a broadcaster? Like there's no straight and narrow path. So what I did was I tried to take a bunch of classes and make a bunch of connections. It's just like, what can I do? And one of the things was that I got an opportunity to be a volunteer my senior year for the Big East tournament, which to me, to this day, is probably one of, if not the coolest things I've ever did. The 2016 Big East tournament, my senior year, I was sitting bayside the entire tournament. And I was just like meeting all these cool people in the industry. Like it was great. And just making connections. And like, I actually met Gary Cohen from the Mets because he does Seton Hall University radio. And like Gary Cohen, I grew up guys all the time. Like he's one of the best baseball announcers, I think, at least in my opinion, ever, all time. And I loved listening to him. And I was like, hey, listen, like, at the time I'm 22. And I'm like, listen, like, I really want to do this. Like, what advice do you have for me? Everybody will say the same thing in the industry. It doesn't matter what you do, reps, always about getting the reps. So, job-wise, nothing panned out upon graduation. So I end up getting lucky, like a random day. I go to my little cousin's birthday party, and my uncle's fiance's cousin is an HR guy for NBC. And I was like, okay, like, this is great. And basically he's like, send me your resume. So I sent him my resume, sets me up with an interview, helps me prepare for the interview. I go to the interview and I get hired all within the same week.
Wow.
And it was all for ad sales. And I was like, okay, like, obviously it's not what I want to do, but this is like a foot in.
Yep.
Lo and behold, bro, like it took me like 5 years to get out of like ad sales. Because once you're in sales, bro, it's like a cycle. It's so hard to break.
Yeah.
Like, it was tough, dude. Like, it's not what I wanted to do. And I was just trying to get over to like, I wanted to get up to Stanford, really, like where I'm at now, HQ. Like, I wanted to get up there because that's like where, all the content and stuff is made. And like, that's what I really was striving for. And honestly, man, like my break didn't happen until 2021. I started in October of 2016. My break didn't happen until July of 2021, where last summer I applied for a job of what I'm doing now. And luckily I got it. And of course, like, it forced me to move back from Tampa. And I was like, listen, it's a short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Like, this is really what I want to do. And I was like, this is my opportunity. I've been waiting a long time for it. I obviously wished it would have happened sooner, but just the way the cards broke, the way the hand I was dealt, I was like, all right, like, this is the opportunity. Like, I'm 27. Let's go after it now. And I'll do what I got to do. I gave up everything to do what I have to do to get to this job. And I'm like, dude, I love it, man. I really do. Like, I'm so happy. Wake up every day. Love what I do. I get to like talk about betting and fantasy for a living. Like,
Sure.
And anybody that's known me before, that's all I ever talked about before. Yeah. So like, bro, I'm so lucky. Like, for somebody that like didn't love what they were doing for so long, and like one day I got to wake up and like literally do what I want to do. It's just, dude, you can't beat it, man. And like, NBC is such a great company, and like, you got so many supportive people that just are always trying to help you get better. And, it's nice because we're always trying to get better as a company, but people are always like really striving for your success and really trying to assist you any way they can. So it's just a great place to be at. It's a great company to be around. And we're doing such great things. And, I'm really excited to see like all the great things that we're going to continue to do.
So I want to talk a little bit about the job currently, but first talk us through here, the move to Tampa, your process during that. Obviously the city of champions while you're there. The Lightning win 2, you leave, they lose. The Bucks win as well. So tell us about your time in Tampa Bay, and how did you just decide and land on, let me go to Tampa Bay out of all the places you could have possibly went?
So that's a good question, actually, because COVID, during COVID, I moved. So COVID was 2020, May 2020, I moved out of my dad's house. Like, my dad's like, listen, if you're living here, like, you can't go anywhere during COVID. I was like, all right, like 3 months, I'm sitting there, and I did the shore house in Point Pleasant the summer before, but wasn't there full time. I was there pretty much every weekend now. So then I was like, all right, like, if nothing else, if the shore is not the same as it was last year, I at least need to be on my own and get out of the house. So I was all in. I was like, all right, I'm going to live down there. I'm working remote. Like, we're definitely going to be remote for at least the summer. So I'm set there. My dad's like, listen, like, if you want to go, but like, don't think you're coming in and out of the house like during COVID. I was like, listen, bro, like, I'm out. Like, I'll stay down there. So I lived down there for the summer. And then, after the summer wraps up, I'm like, all right, where am I going to go? Like, now I got to get my own place. My dad's like, listen, like, yeah, you're done. Like, you got to go get your own place. I said, fine. So I moved in with a friend, and then over the time I was trying to get a handle, like, when are we going back? Like, if we're not going back ever, or like for a while, like, I'm not going to stay in Jersey. It's starting to get cold. Like, it's too expensive. I can't afford to live on my own. And it's a real problem though. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, that's just not, like, I've been dying to get out of Jersey for years. So my best friend lives in Tampa. And for my birthday, my 27th birthday, I was like, all right, I'm going to go visit him. Let me get out of I haven't traveled in a while. Like, I want to get out of the state. It's nice there. It's my birthday. Like, let me go do something. And when I visited him, I was like, yo, this is sick. Long weekend. I was like, that affirmed to me, if I could move there, I would. That weekend was like, all right, if I can move here, I will. Because I was like, listen, like, I would love to live in like Miami or South Florida, but quite frankly, it's if you can't afford living in New York by yourself, you can't afford living in South Florida by yourself. It's the same thing. Right. And I was like, all right, like Florida is realistic. Like LA was a dream of mine for the last 5 years, but then the way LA was going with like how expensive it is to live out there. And like, I didn't know how long I was going to be there. So I'm not moving to California for a year. It's just such a pain. So I was like, all right, Tampa it is. I get back from my trip. I hit up my boss, was like, yo, like, I don't know what our schedule is. Like when we're coming back, I want to move to Tampa. And like this guy luckily was very, I want to work remote because I want to move somewhere else too. So I told him, he's like, yeah, bro, go for it. Cool. I got back probably like late October. So like early November, I started working on it. It took me 2 weeks. I called like 10 different places, got prices, and I settled on the place that I have now, which is 5 minutes from my best friend. And I was like, okay, like this is doable. Like it's very affordable. It's on the bay. Like, the apartment's not the greatest, but it's doable for me, at least for a year. Then we'll see what's up. So I wait till after the new year because I'm like, oh, it's Christmas, Thanksgiving. I'm not going to do travel. So boom, make the move. I figure everything out and I just go, man. I pack up my car, pack up my Challenger, whatever stuff I could fit in there.
I love that Challenger. You got a nice ride in it in Tampa Bay.
It was a lot of fun, but bro, like to pack it up was terrible. I was like, dude, like it was bad.
Love that car.
It was, but like, bro, like after once I got to the South, because bro, I think like people from the South don't like us. They don't like the Northerners. They don't like Jersey. Like they pull me over. I got an attitude problem. So like they pull me over, like, and it's not good. So the big thing was, and everybody had told me that don't speed once you get to the South. Once you hit like Maryland or Virginia, like boom, speed limit. So I was speed limit the whole way. So I didn't really get to like open it up or anything, but man, I gotta say though, it was a nice ride. It was a nice ride. It took me, I went down from Jersey to Georgia, like outside Savannah. That was one shot. Then I finished the drive the next day. But I gotta say, bro, like Tampa was unbelievable. I want to go back. I want to hopefully get a place down there. I love it, dude. I never wanted to leave. But like, bro, but like what I'm saying, like, how much are you willing to put in for your own success? How much are you willing to put in for your own goals? And ultimately I was like, listen, like, as much as I love Tampa, like Tampa's always going to be here. So like, I'll get back here one day and like, actually I'm going down for Labor Day weekend. So at least I got my, it's been like 5-6 months since I've been there at that point, but I'm happy to get back down. And Tampa's a great place, man. So up and coming. It's blown up so much. It's just a great city, dude. It really is.
I think the best thing is to sell it to Nick. It's like a nice little mix of everything. You know what I mean? Yes. Like it's got to feel like you're in Florida, right? The warmer weather and everything, but it's got less of a party atmosphere than kind of like Miami does, right? It's kind of like a little more of like the suburban residential families. Like they're kind of a little more central, like where my uncle is closer to Orlando. So I have an uncle in Orlando and I have an uncle in Tampa, right? So I get to see the differences in both places, right? With Tampa, you're not that far from the beach. Obviously, you got the bay over there, right? A lot of really nice places to go out. Ybor City is unbelievable. A lot of really nice restaurants there and places to get cigars. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's a little bit for everything, for everybody to do. So it's not really any one thing. And I think like you go down to Florida, people are like, Florida's Florida, like the people go crazy there, but there's just something about that area that's so quaint and it's so nice. And the only thing is the Rays play in a dump, but outside of that.
Why does everybody say that? They don't, bro.
Like they do play in a dump.
Bro, listen, I had the same conversation with your cousin. I like the Trop. I don't know why people hate it so much. Like, could it be fixed up? Sure. But like,
they need to fix it up. No, it's not not a terrible building itself, but it's like, fix it up. It's a major league team and they've been good. I don't like rooting for the Rays because I'm a Yankees fan, obviously. So, But, for an organization that's as well run as they are, they deserve at least Major League Baseball should put money into that place and do it themselves because, that organization deserves it. Like they deserve people to root for them and they deserve a home there. And it's you're not getting the support in Miami for the Marlins, right? So they're going to have to fix up Tampa Bay. And they did it with the Lightning, and the Lightning are the number one team in that city, as you know. Their banners everywhere, billboards are everywhere, but they deserve it. So that's my opinion. Yeah. But that place, maybe not a dump, but the building itself stinks.
Well, all right. Well, so the thing about that is, and they've been talking about this for years, to finally move the Rays to Tampa because they play in St. Pete right now. So listen, I don't know, man, maybe because they're talking about moving Tampa Bay, the Rays to the middle of Ybor, gentrify the whole area, create a ton of money. People could go to the games. It's a lot more accessible. I mean, something along the lines, maybe not exactly like this, but something along the lines of how the Garden is dead smack in the middle of New York City. So people could just literally walk from any direction and come down and go to a game for the Knicks or the Rangers or whatever. But if they did that, I feel like the Rays fan base would explode because a lot of people can't get out to St. Pete. It's a far drive, dude. It's when there's traffic, it's the area where they play is awesome, dude. St. Pete is sick. But there's so many cool bars, restaurants.
It's an hour away from everything going on towards downtown Tampa. There's still
with traffic, with traffic, it's an hour.
Right. So it's coming around here, it's would I rather go to a game at the Garden with Nick, or are we rather going to go to Citi Field? The difference between getting to MSG and Citi Field is the difference getting from everywhere in downtown Tampa to where the Rays play in St. Pete. But
listen, the bottom line is if you're going to a sporting event, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get to and from, no matter where it is.
Sure.
MetLife Stadium's all right for us, Joe. It's about 25, 30 minutes, but getting out of there is a horror.
Yeah, MetLife is the easiest place to get to now, I think. And I think if you're in Long Island, UBS is pretty good too, where the Islanders play now. Johnny, I don't know, since you've been home, I don't know. I haven't been to UBS at all, but those are easily the two places to get to from at least Nick and I's perspective. MSG is still very, very difficult, but I was able to get there for the Rangers game. So, you learn.
You were in Tampa. I mean, you're just all over the place, Joe.
I'm all over the place. And
Tampa,
let me tell you something. I love Amalie Arena too. Say what you want about the Lightning. It was to watch the Rangers lose like that, to lose the 4 in a row. It stung a little bit, but they'll be back. They're on the upswing. This isn't a case where I think it's a 1-year thing.
They won't be back.
They'll be back. The Devils stink. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're Devils. I really don't know if you're a Devils fan or not. I don't think of our issue, but that arena in Amalie Arena is so beautiful, and we could literally sit here, Johnny, and talk about Tampa all day. Obviously it's not a big. It's not a big city, but it's it's so nice that you can literally just keep rattling off things to do. So
let's talk.
Dude, you should go down Labor Day. You should go down Labor Day. I'll be there Labor Day. So
maybe I'll go visit my uncle. His birthday is August 28th.
You should. Wait, hold on real quick though, Nick, because you weren't down. So it was me, Joe, his cousin, and his cousin's fiance, right?
Yeah.
So I guess his uncle's house is up in Wesley Chapel. It's up northwest Tampa. It's deep for me, bro. Where I get my haircut is in North Tampa, or did get my haircut on Gun Highway. Actually, it's right by Carol Baskin's compound, believe it or not. I drove by it one time. I didn't realize. I was going to get my haircut down the street from her compound this whole time, and I didn't realize it. But that's still 25 minutes from where his uncle is. And the haircut spot is 25 minutes from me. So it's an hour. It could take about an hour to get there, depending on traffic. But anyway, so his cousin Mikey's little sister told, bro, I lost it, right? So they rented a Jeep. And Mike's our age. Mike's what, 30? His younger sister's
22.
How old
22.
Your younger cousin's
his
22?
His younger sister, my younger cousin, is 22. Mikey's 2 years younger than Nick and I. He was born 94. So
okay, all right, but he's still our age. He's
right. He's around our age, right?
So Mikey's little sister, right? Mike's gonna die when he sees this too. So they're going to. So the sister takes the Jeep, right? They go with her friends. It's her and a couple friends. Goes and takes the Jeep, and they go to the gas station. Now, right it's Florida. You fill up your own tank, like you pump your own gas, which if you're from New York, you would do anyway. What does she do with this Jeep? Does she put in regular gas? She does not. Does she put in plus? She doesn't. How about super? No, she puts in diesel. She jams the diesel nod into the gas tank, fills it up, boom. And then Mike calls you, goes, bro, like, I got a situation. He's like, oh, what's the problem? He goes, well, my sister filled up the rental Jeep with diesel. So now we got to get it towed. And now they got to take the entire thing apart. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, my dad's going to find a way to blame me. I was like, listen, bro, that's the problem about having an Italian dad. It's always our fault. It's never the daughter's fault. It's always the son's fault. He goes, well, why were you letting her drive the Jeep? Like, I don't know, dude, I lost it. And then like, Joe, you saw this, right? When you guys went to a Yankee game and like it was the two of them and the sister, and you put up a selfie. I replied, I was like, Mike, is this the same girl that put diesel in the Jeep? And he's like, dying, bro. It's so funny, bro.
Oh my
It's amazing. It's an all-time story, and obviously it's never going to happen again. But I mean, oh my god, when it was happening in the moment, yes. So I mean, Mikey was being nice because his sister had just broken up with her ex-boyfriend. And he wanted to do something nice for, his sister. And he was like, something, you want to feel good, drive around, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it was, because, we were just looking around at, certain things in the downtown area. So he tried to be nice, and that's what happened. And it turned into one of the greatest stories of all time. And I personally love when Johnny tells it.
He goes, bro, like, why is it my fault? He's like, Dad, why is it my fault? Because, you should be driving your sister around. Why is she driving? I was like, yo, this would be the same thing my dad said to me. It's always our fault. It's always our fault, man. Wow. Dude. And he goes, bro, like, I don't know what to do. Like, he goes, like, the funny thing is like, bro, a diesel nozzle is like not a normal size. No. Like, it doesn't fit. So like, you really have to jam it in.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What a story. Only your cousins, Joe.
Only in Tampa.
In Tampa. So Johnny, obviously you mentioned your great job right now. How did that kind of evolve for you? Because you came on first as a producer, and now you're a researcher. Doing with the producer, helping the producer for the podcast and stuff. Now you're doing, the shows or the tape segments, at least as an on-air talent. You're doing your writing. How did you kind of evolve within that job?
So like, it's really good because the researcher, like what I am doing, I was working with talent like all the time. I was working with talent and producers every day. And, aside from the fact that like, I feel like I have as good of a knowledge as anybody when it comes to like fantasy and betting and like in terms of like football and baseball, like, and it's just how I've always felt like this. It's really good because I got the chance to like work from and like learn from other people that have been doing it before me in the business. So I was like, okay, like, let me buy my time. Let me do really well at my job. Let me do really, really well before like I ask for something. So if I started in August, like late August, early September, I didn't really ask until I would say like mid-October. I was like, hey, listen, like I want to get like on camera side. And like I talked to my producer and he's like, all right, like I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna make some calls or like, reach out to some people because like if you want to get on camera for here, it's going to be a long road. It's like, whatever I got to do. So long story short, reaches out to one of the managers who like, I never really had met at the time. Like we're on calls together, but like, we're always like doing calls about our shows every week. So like, I never really have a chance to like get to know people personally. Cause don't forget, like at the time, like we're still all remote. So anyway, one of the guys reaches out to me and he's been unbelievable. Like he's just, I owe everything to him because I like everybody's tried to really help me. And like, I always appreciate that. And basically one of the guys who has been unbelievable to me, like he's really probably been the biggest reason why like I've been able to like contribute the way I have thus far. And basically he says, listen, like most important thing's writing. And I believe that too. I think like if you want to do this, like you have to write, like being able to write is huge. Like it's just so much more than performing or helping out your grammar and your speaking and like your thought process. But like, it's good. Sometimes people want to read stuff and it's important. Writing's always important. I think reading and writing and speaking always go all hand in hand. But anyway, he goes, send me a writing sample, send him a writing sample. And, long story short, he's like, all right, like write another one next week. And then I kept writing and I kept writing and I kept writing and kept writing. And like, that's put a lot of good momentum towards the end of the NFL regular season. So I probably started routinely writing like week 15. And then I went on Spaces, like the Twitter audio podcast for the playoffs, did well with that. And then started working more on like social stuff. Like I do Battle the Bets a lot, which not to brag. I am the all-time win leader. I'm 16-6 all time currently. So doing that and like starting to work more on, get more opportunities on camera and like continue to do stuff. So like, dude, it's been great, man. Like one thing's led to another, but it all started with like, first things first, like do really well at what you're paid to do. And if you have like all the information, you have all the knowledge and like, then it'll be up to them to decide if you really do. So, but the writing was like the first start of everything.
No, of course. And I wanted to ask, what is it like moving to Connecticut? Because Jersey, Florida, Connecticut now. I mean, I've been in and around that area by where like Stanford is and like the campus is. I know where WWE headquarters is, right off 95 over there.
Yeah.
I have people who have lived in Stanford, and I happen to think Stanford, Connecticut, that area, the immediate area, half hour in every direction is kind of really, really nice. So what was it like with the transition?
It was tough, dude. Like, honestly, like the move to Connecticut was harder than the move to Florida, in my opinion. Like it's a lot more money up here. And it's just like getting all the furniture was like a big pain. Like I still have a couple things I still haven't bought actually. I like, the area is cool, like where I live, but it's Connecticut, right? There's no good. There's just degrees of bad. Like I would never voluntarily move to Connecticut otherwise. I was like, it's a huge drop off. It really, really is. Like, but in terms of like, if I had to live there, like where I live right now is a really good spot. I live in the middle of the action. I could go out to a bar, I go out to a restaurant, eat, have a good night out, and I don't have to drive anywhere. Like I live right next door to like a really cool Japanese spot. So like anytime I feel like getting out of the house, going to get a couple beers, go to a happy hour, get some sushi, watch a game, like boom, walk right outside. Like, so the convenience is great. I live 10 minutes from HQ. So, I mean, that aspect is cool, but it's definitely not Florida. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
Absolutely. So Joe mentioned at the top, you have the gambling guinea. And if anyone follows you on social media, that's your persona. How did you come up with that and your signature catchphrase that you start all of your NFL Sunday gambling videos off with?
I don't really know. So like this is right when gambling came out, and like I was like, okay, like it's an opportunity for me to like get into it. And like I've always been big into sports and betting, like and always paid attention to stuff. Like, bro, I'd be like 11, 12 years old, like checking out what the lines are. Like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like I already knew what the lines are when I was a kid. So I'm like, okay, like this is good. This is a good spot. And like somebody I talked to like knows people that are like big on social media, goes, yo, like you gotta have like something different, something that's just unique to you. And I was like, okay, like, if I'm doing gambling, I'm like Italian. So it kind of just like came up with that. Like that could be like an alter ego of mine, like super Italian, like a gambler, and like something that's like kind of catchy. And it's like funny because like I'll walk around the office and like people will call me that. And like like randomly like, yo, it's a gambling guinea. I'm like, hey man, like so that's like kind of, it was just kind of like, just like caught on. And I was like, all right, like, let's run with it. We'll see what I go by. But yeah, it's just funny and kind of just come off the top of my head with certain things. And if it sticks, and I just like kind of stay with it.
How do you get access? A lot of your videos you do in front of the Sopranos house. How'd you get access to that? How'd you find that spot?
Oh, they're my neighbors. Oh. So I roll up right to it. And I'm just like, okay, like, it's wide open. I feel like it's like a good backdrop. And It's funny too, because I'll be like, Dad, like you got to come film me. Like that's the biggest pain actually, filming the videos. Is like,
who's filming you in Tampa? Your friend?
I got random friends. Sometimes I had to do selfies. Like I got to invest on like one of those things that like holds the camera with the light. You know what I'm saying? So that way, like I don't have to have anybody depend on anybody. But like, I'd be like, Dad, you had to come film with one of the friends. She goes, no, like, John, I'm not doing that. Like, I know the people that live there. I was like, and like, they won't have a problem with it. So like, I try not to like overuse it, but like, I'll do it like once or twice a season.
And I think your best video is you in your velour tracksuit, jumped right in the pool. How'd you draw that thing off?
Dude, I don't know. I was just like, what can I do that is so stupid and so ridiculous, but people will love it? Because like, bro, almost feel like you ever watch a commercial and for like a product, and the commercial sometimes is so good you forget like what the actual product is. Like you forget what they're trying to sell you. Like I almost feel like some of the stuff I do could be like that. Like people are paying attention to more what I'm doing rather than what I'm saying. I was like, all right, like what could I do that's different? Like, and then I was like, okay, like let me be outside the pool, like it's at the bay, like the backdrop is cool, like, and I'm like just walking around, and then like I see the pool, and I'm like, I look down, I'm like, yeah, we're going in. So then like I have no problem like jumping in the pool with my clothes on, and I was like, all right, it's gonna slap. It's gonna slap.
We also love your signature sunglasses, and I'm sure I'll be wearing those down the shore this evening for sure. But before we talk about the shore, where you and Joe frequent a lot, I need to ask you, what in your career or maybe in school was your I'm right moment? So what I mean by that is a time where you wanted to do something, you asked somebody for advice, they say, you know what, Johnny, don't do that. That's a bad idea. And you said, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. And ultimately you will see why it is that I'm right.
I don't know if I had like an actual defining moment where somebody said that. I just like throughout growing up, it's not that, obviously you always get people that say you can't do something, which like one thing I've always learned, and I'll apply this to anything in life. If somebody isn't putting money in your pocket, clothes on your back, food on your table, or offer you like support or wisdom from like a positive place, I don't care what they say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't listen to those people because like, why would I? Like, what do you do for me that would enable me to want to listen to you? So, but growing up, the main thing is, and people prepare you for it. It's going to be a tough field. It's a very competitive field, very tough field. And like, I've heard that a lot growing up, and I'm like, okay, like, so what? Like, I thought about it more. I'm like, dude, everything you do is a tough field. Yeah. You want to go be a musician, any type of musician, that's a tough field. You want to go be a doctor, a lawyer, that's a tough field. You want to go be a painter, I'm sure it's a tough field. Like, you want to go be a movie star, that's a tough field. Like, everything's a tough field. Like, and listen, if it's easy, nobody's going to want to do it. And I was like, listen, this is what I want to do. It was more about, at least growing up, because like, bro, when we were kids, like podcasts weren't a thing, like, or they were a thing, but they weren't like what they are now. Podcasts exploded over the last like 5 years. Like, they weren't a big thing. Like YouTube channels, it wasn't a huge thing back then like it is now. TikTok wasn't around. Instagram, Twitter, like the only thing that was around really that I was on is MySpace. Nobody's like going to go do that. But at least growing up, the only thing I could do was like, okay, let me like educate myself as best I can. So, but it was enjoying. Like, every Sunday I watch football. Sunday's always been my me day. Since I was able to drive, since I was 17, I would drive myself to a bar every Sunday by myself and watch every game. And like, it'd be to the point where my dad's like, dude, are you going to come home or are you going to sit in a bar all day at like 17? People were going to think there's something wrong with me letting my 17-year-old son sit at a bar all day. I was like, dude, like, I'm stuck. And it was like, bro, to the point where like, I always would get in fights with my dad. He's like, every Sunday, you're always at the bar. You're always watching football. Like, it's all you do. And he's like, what, why? Like, why do you like to do that? I was like, okay, first of all, aside from the fact it's what I enjoy and it's what I want to do, think about it. There's going to be the best people in the industry I have to go up against. I have to be better than them. So in order to do that, I have to understand everything about each game, each team, each player. So eventually, like, he saw it. And then once, like, things started happening, he's like, all right, like, now, you did something with it. Like, finally, like, at least it wasn't a total waste. You sitting there on a Sunday from 12 to 8 every week, like.
Spoken like a true paisan. But you're right. I mean, listen, you're right. Social media didn't exist when we were younger, and there weren't ways to get content out there. And now you can get content out there. And now it's still difficult to find something, but made everything just slightly easier. So, and Johnny, I will say this before we let you go. Probably not this weekend, but I think next weekend is the weekend where the itch, I haven't scratched it all summer, but it's time to scratch it. So I'm going to give you some dates, and we're going to hang out down there, and we're going to go spread the word about Johnny V TV. We're going to go spread the word about the podcast. We're just going to have a really, really, really good time. And Nick is going to be badgering us, asking us for all the stories when it happens, but we're going to make it happen soon, buddy. We're going to go down the shore soon, and we're going to have a really great time this summer, and we're going to see each other again. And we thank you for doing this with us. You're a dear friend to us. Very fortunate that I had the opportunity to hang out with you in person when I did in Tampa. I realized that night that when we were at the arcade, we had a really great time. Realized what Nick and I were in the process of making somebody who we think is probably going to be a friend for a really long time. So you've seen episodes, you know what we do at the end. We give our guests the last words. I'm about to shut the fuck up. I don't know if Nick's going to have to edit that out or not, so we'll see. But
yeah, probably edit that out. I try to keep it clean-ish. No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was definitely great to catch up with you. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. And listen, we got to get everybody to DJs. So I won't be down next weekend. I'm down this weekend. I won't be down next weekend. And I will be down the following week, third week of July.
You got it.
I remember always happy hour during the day. It's like 4 to 7.
Right. The middle of the day.
Tank top inside, sunglasses inside. Yo, we'll start ripping some grails. Like, bro, we'll have a good time. They'll play Calling Lose My Mind 5 times every hour.
We're gonna get Nick in there. Nick is gonna bang the walls.
That is the best song ever made. Nobody is gonna convince me otherwise. That song is the best song ever created.
It's the national anthem.
It's the anthem for DJs. It's literally like when I told you, I was like, bro, like the Avalanche have all the small things, and like it is so Calling Lose My Mind for DJs. Like it just is. It's the absolute best. Like it's just, bro. I mean, I can't. Like it's actually the best.
We'll be doing it soon. Happiest place on earth. And I prefer going on a Sunday for a Sunday fun day. However, I will open up my schedule to whatever day is good for you. So
we'll take off on Monday too. We'll do a Tiki Monday.
Absolutely, we'll make that happen.
All right, so it sounds like you two guys are going to have an absolutely diesel time down the Jersey Shore. So we'll stay tuned for that. Johnny, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and follow those shenanigans and see all your college baseball and Dylan Cease tweets.
Yep. So you can get me on Twitter. I'm at _JohnnyVTV. I need to buy the guy out who doesn't have the underscore in front of his name because I really want to get rid of the underscore. And then I'm on Instagram at Gambling Guinea, and I'm also on TikTok at Gambling Guinea, although I'm just getting back into the swing of things. But you could also always read my articles on NBC Sports Edge, giving out all the betting picks for baseball, college baseball, and of course, football.
All right, there you have it. So that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Johnny V, and my co-host, Joe Calabrese. I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.